So this is so much better. I went back and you'll see I pressed back a considerable amount more. And again, I don't know if I stretched it out of shape, which is possible, or if it's just another one of those fiddly things in the pattern, you know. Who knows? But we can fix it. This is an easy thing to fix. Now, I put a couple pins in my center line on my lining up my lining to the center back seam, just so I didn't pull anything or shift it. And when my underlap lays down the way it should, right? That's where it lays. And in theory, now my lining should line up with my underlap, which it pretty much does, which is great. That's what I wanted to see. That's so much better, because now when I move that underlap out of the way, now I'm seeing the same amount of my fashion fabric all the way up my lining, which is great. So now I can go back, because I had to unpin. And remember, we're going to put raw edge of the turned up part of the lining to raw edge of the jacket hem, which means that this fold is actually 5/8 of an inch below the top of your jacket hem allowance. And I'm lining all of that up, and I'm going to pin, and I'm going to pin. Great. I'm trying not to pull. I don't want to pull it and stretch it. All right, so now I will sew that, and I will pin the rest of it across. But remember, I haven't done this other side of my front. So I will, again, what you're going to do is slip stitch this hem first, then go back, and it's the same thing we did with the front. See, we're going to create this little pleat, which is hard to do with pins in there, but once that's actually stitched, it's easier, right? And then we will fold this down, and it will have the little pleat stitched on the side and the side, but it'll still have the ability to move. And I can pin down my lining in place. Make sure that little hem allowance doesn't stick out. And I'm going to stitch it down to the bottom, all the way down here with it folded, and I will stitch that down. So again, slip stitching it down. So when this is together, we end up with, in theory, now this will be a little bit longer down once I've stitched that, but our lining should line up. I should see just the barest little hint of my fashion fabric on my underlap, and I will, let me move my camera, I will slip stitch down the top of the vent, and yes, the vent opening in the lining, and yes, it is an angle if you look at the pattern. So I'm going to slip stitch that down, move this out of the way, slip stitch it the rest of the way down on both sides, and I will have my jacket body completely lined. The next step we're going to do is hem our sleeves and put in our sleeve linings.